Hey guys, welcome back to the Updike Family Homestead. I'm Kira, and today we're going to be talking about all that zucchini you've got coming in your garden.
Hey y'all, we are the Updike family located in the mountains of Tennessee. We're excited to share our homesteading journey with all of you. From the farm to the table, we'll share the ins and outs, the ups and downs, from recipes and how-tos to our adventures of running a homestead. So come on in and join us. From our home to yours, welcome to the Updike Family Homestead.
All right, so if you are like us, it is zucchini season. So, zucchini comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's one of the most versatile vegetables that you can grow in your garden because zucchini is delicious, steamed, fried, grilled, sauteed, but my favorite, we're gonna shred it up and we're gonna be making some zucchini bread today. When your zucchini gets to be this big, I just feel like it's a little bit on the more bitter side, and so I like to take these really big ones and shred it up, and we use it for our zucchini bread. You can freeze it once it is shredded. There's no issue whatsoever. And then we save these smaller ones or the regular size zucchini for all of our other stuff. We will even slice these up and flash steam them, flash freeze them, and keep them for all year long. But for today, let's get into this zucchini bread. So for this recipe, and I've got my little recipe card here so that I don't forget, but for this recipe, you're gonna need 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3 eggs, 1 3/4 cups of sugar, 2 cups of that shredded zucchini, 1 cup or 2 sticks of melted butter, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So to start us off, let's go ahead and preheat that oven to 325 degrees. Now I will be using the unbleached all-purpose flour, and I don't care at all. I will post the link in the description below for the recipe, as well as any of these ingredients. I'll link them in our Amazon store, so you guys are more than welcome to head over there, and you can get pretty much everything that I'm using today except for your eggs and your zucchini. Okay, so you're gonna start off by putting the 3 cups of all-purpose flour into your mixing bowl. I love this mixing bowl. It was a gift, but it's got the little rubber piece on the bottom, so we don't have any sliding around because this is a thicker bread recipe. All right, so that is my 3 cups of all-purpose flour. The next thing that we're gonna add in is we're gonna go ahead and add in that ground cinnamon and that ground nutmeg. So for your cinnamon, it was 2.5 teaspoons. Now mine is freshly grated cinnamon, so I'm just gonna use 2 teaspoons. Okay, and then that 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. If you've watched us before, then you know I don't typically use any kind of measurements, but for the sake of this, I was like, I better go ahead and use a measuring cup and measuring spoons. Okay, once you have that in, we're gonna go ahead and get that 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Next is our salt, and that is going to be 1 teaspoon of salt. Now I did use my Redmond's Real Mineral Salt. If you have regular salt, kosher salt, to me, that doesn't really make a big difference or anything. Now I am gonna go ahead and melt that butter. I don't want it to burn. I'm melting it on my stovetop. However, if you have a microwave, you can certainly melt that butter in the microwave. While that is melting though, let's go ahead and add in our sugar. For the sugar, it is 1 3/4 cups of sugar. Now this sugar here is our organic raw sugar. However, you can use regular sugar. There's not a difference there as far as the taste of or the texture, how your bread is going to turn out. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give this a good stir just to kind of mix all of our dry ingredients all together. Now, the great thing about the zucchini bread, you can do this in a loaf pan, in an 8x4 loaf pan, yeah. This recipe is going to be for 2 8x4 loaf pans, or 2 dozen plus a few more muffins, like in a cupcake liner. Or you could even do the mini loaf pan. None of that matters. Like, it's going to be the same recipe for all of the above. All right, once that is done, we're going to go ahead and add in our eggs. For our house, because we do have our ducks, I'm going to be using 1 chicken egg and 1 duck egg. I'm going to, for size comparison here, if you can see. So 1 duck egg is the equivalent to 2 chicken eggs. So if that's the case and I need 3 eggs, then I'm going to be using 1 duck egg, 1 chicken egg. I prefer to use the duck eggs for anything pastry related because the pastries just come out so rich and delicious and fluffy. It's just perfect. Now, when you are raising farm-raised animals, such as your chickens or your ducks, it's always a good idea to crack the egg first into a separate dish, then pour that egg into the main mixing bowl. The reason for that is, let's just say you miss an egg and it's a bad egg, you've ruined the whole batch. So that's just a little side tip there. You won't need a mixer or anything like that. Just a heavy duty wooden spoon will be just fine. Now let's talk about that shredded zucchini. I have the KitchenAid stand attachment that looks like this, where this part just connects, and then I used the smallest grated portion of the inside to that to grate my zucchini. There's our oven, it's preheated, that's perfect timing. If you don't have that, you can obviously use a just regular old-fashioned grater. There's no problem with that. Just saved my arms a little bit of a workout by doing it in the stand mixer. So you're gonna want 2 cups of that, and I believe my butter is done. Okay, that's all melted. We're gonna add that right in. Go ahead, while that is sitting, let's add in our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I do prefer that pure vanilla extract over imitation, but if imitation is what you have, it's not an issue, I promise. All right, before we add in that zucchini, we're gonna go ahead and give this a nice stir. Now remember, I did say that this is a denser, thicker type of bread. So don't be alarmed if it looks a little too thick. Once we add that zucchini in, it's gonna loosen right back up. It's almost like a cookie dough consistency. It already smells so good, and we haven't even began to cook it yet. We haven't even begun to cook it yet. All right. Let's add in our 2 cups of shredded zucchini, which is right at what I have in here. I have a little bit extra, but a little bit more isn't a problem. Now, James is making some smoked chicken thighs for dinner tonight, and this is a great pairing with a dinner or a lunch or breakfast. It's good any time of day. If you just want a quick, healthy snack, this would be something you could definitely pull and munch on. All right. So this is the consistency that you want your batter to look like now. See how it loosened up? So now it's at a pourable consistency. And at this point, we can, couple of options, like I said before, you can either divide this up between 2 8x4 cake, not cake, but bread loaf pans, or this will make 2 dozen plus a few more muffins, which is what we're gonna do. Or if you have one of those mini loaf pans, you can certainly use that as well. So what I like to do is, if you are using a bread loaf pan, you might want to either spray it with canola oil or vegetable oil or Pam, something like that, or you can line it with parchment paper. Since I'm using the cupcake pan, here's my big one, I've lined mine with cupcake liners. All right, so we're gonna pour a little bit more than 1/4 of a cup into each cupcake liner here. All right, so now at this point, if you were doing the 2 loaf pans, it's gonna need to cook for about 60 to 65 minutes. For the cupcakes here, it'll take about 25 minutes. For the mini loaf pans, it'll take about 35 to 40 minutes. So just make sure that you adjust your time for whatever size you have decided to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in and set my timer so that I don't forget. Now, it just so happens that I actually made a batch earlier today and shared them with our neighbors and some friends. But I wanted to show you guys what these will look like once they are all finished. So that's the inside. It's nice and moist and fluffy and absolutely delicious. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have fun in your kitchen, and we'll see you next time. Bye.